In 1998, a young comedian chasing his dream of fame found himself in a strange and tough experiment that changed reality TV forever. Blindfolded and without clothes, he was placed in a small empty apartment in Tokyo. He had nothing with him except some magazines and the hope to survive. The only way he could get food, clothes, or anything else was by winning magazine sweepstakes, like lucky draws. What he didn't know was that hidden cameras were recording everything, and millions of people were watching his every move on live TV without him knowing. In this video, we will look into one of the most shocking reality TV stories, a powerful tale of survival and unfair treatment that turned into one of the most talked about and controversial reality shows of all time. In January 1998, Tomoaki Hamatsu, a 22-year-old man who dreamed of becoming a comedian, joined an audition for a Japanese reality TV show called Susunu, Denpa Shonen. He was nicknamed Nasubi, meaning eggplant, because of his long face. Nasubi believed this was his big chance to become famous in Japan's difficult entertainment world. The audition was unusual, and the people running it gave little information, only saying the winner could become a star. When Nasubi picked the winning ticket, he was excited and hopeful about his future. But things quickly took a strange turn. The show's staff blindfolded him and took him to a small hidden apartment in Tokyo. Once there, they asked him to take off all his clothes. This left him feeling confused, embarrassed, and unsure of what was going on. It was the beginning of one of the most extreme and bizarre reality show experiences ever seen. The room Nasubi was put in was very small and empty. It was just a plain apartment with no bed, no TV, and no furniture. Inside, there was only a table, tons of newsletters, ballpoint pen, telephone, radio, a cushion to sit on, gas range, a small stove, toilet, bathtub, shower, air conditioner, magazines filled with contest entry forms. The apartment was purposely made to keep Nasubi alone. It had no windows or clocks, which confused him. Then the producers told him the challenge: he had to live only on the things he could win from these contests. He had to keep entering them until he won a total of 1 million yen, about $8,000. At first, Nasubi didn't take it too seriously. He thought it might just be for a future show. He was nervous and confused, but also laughed a little because he didn't fully understand what was coming. Still, he agreed to the challenge because he wanted to become a comedian and had a strong will. This was the start of a very hard and strange journey that would test his strength and change the way he thought about life and survival. The rules were simple. Nasubi couldn't talk to anyone outside. He had to win everything he needed, like food, clothes, or anything to survive, by entering mail-in contests. He could only leave the room after winning prizes worth 1 million yen. The room had only water and a small gas stove, so he had to rely completely on luck and effort. Hidden cameras were placed in the walls to film everything, and he wore a microphone to record his voice. The recordings were watched and later shown on TV across Japan at first, without Nasubi even knowing. Since he was completely naked, the show used a cartoon eggplant to cover his private parts, as a joke about his nickname, which means eggplant in Japanese. The eggplant image was used on purpose to make fun of Nasubi and turn his struggle into a joke for the audience. At the start, Nasubi's life was very tough. He had no food or clothes and survived by drinking only water. Because he didn't win any prizes right away, he became very hungry and cold, making the challenge even harder. At first, he tried entering radio contests, but they didn't bring him any success. So, he focused on magazine contests instead. He set a strict schedule, writing up to 1,400 postcards each week. Every postcard had to follow exact rules, which took a lot of time and effort. Nasubi was completely alone in a small apartment with no contact with the outside world. To fight loneliness, he started talking to the camera. This helped him pass the time and gave his days some meaning. He only had a small cushion to cover himself, which became a sad symbol of how he tried to keep his dignity in a harsh place meant to take it away. Being locked in that tiny room was hard on his mind and spirit. Even as he grew weaker and less cheerful, he kept sending postcards with hope that something would change. Day after day, his quiet struggle became a routine of writing postcards, waiting patiently for a prize that would finally bring him food and freedom. For the first 2 weeks, the show gave Nasubi only simple bread and crackers so he wouldn't starve. After trying without stopping for 6 days, Nasubi finally won his first prize, a small pack of fiber jelly. It wasn't much, but it stopped his hunger for a little while and made him a bit happy. Soon after, he won a big prize, several kilos of rice. This made him feel better and gave him hope because he wouldn't be hungry for some time. But there was a problem: he didn't have a rice cooker. So, he got creative and used an old drink box to cook the rice. This showed how smart he was. Later, he started winning sweet drinks from the sweepstakes, which helped replace the crackers he was given. But many prizes were strange and not very useful. For example, he got a bicycle, but he couldn't use it in his small room. Still, Nasubi stayed cheerful. He used his funny side to laugh at the odd prizes and used a cushion to cover himself. Each prize was like a surprise. Sometimes helpful, sometimes not, so he never knew what he would get. This part of his story showed how well he dealt with stress, but the silly or useless prizes also showed how tough and unfair the challenge was. As the weeks turned into months, the sweepstakes kept sending Nasubi strange and mostly useless things, showing how unfair and random the game was. His first clothes were women's underwear, which made the situation feel like a bad joke.
ナスビに今人類としての証である着衣の瞬間が訪れようとしている。しかし、
でもちょっと厳しいね。こんな
小さすぎた。
Nasubi's body became weak, he got very skinny, and his hair was messy and dirty because he couldn't clean himself. He survived by eating things like jelly and rice that he won as prizes. Being alone for a long time affected Nasubi's mind a lot. Since he had no one to talk to, he started talking to himself. He would say what he was doing or tell jokes to feel normal. Later, he won a white stuffed toy and named it by Nasu. This toy became very important to him. It was like a pretend friend in his lonely world. He even made a leash from things he found and walked it around the room, singing, "By Nasu, my friend, let's go for a walk." This small habit helped him stay sane, even though the situation was very hard. He won a TV, but it didn't have an antenna to watch shows at first. Then, he won a doll of Toru Rikishi, a character from a boxing anime. The show's producers secretly added funny sounds and pictures to make his suffering look funny to the viewers. Later, he won a live lobster, which was a strange kind of food prize.
生きた伊勢エビが当たった。
怪獣だ、
After 3 months, he got a vacuum cleaner, but it was useless because the room had no carpet. It only reminded him how silly the challenge was. Next, he got a free ticket for an English lesson. Then, he got cans of dog food, which he had to eat because he had no other food. Since he had no can opener, he had to open the cans with whatever he could find. At midnight, the show moved him to a new apartment after one of the news companies found where he was. This made him lose the little feeling of safety he had. These moves and the daily struggle made things harder for him. But Nasubi's habits, talking, singing, and playing made-up games helped him keep going. They kept him strong in a show that seemed designed to break him. Nasubi won a PlayStation console along with the game Densha de Go, a Japanese train simulator. It provided rare entertainment during his isolation, helping ease his extreme boredom and loneliness. Many of the prizes he won were not useful, like a big tent that was too large for his small room, which made him more upset. But he kept sending postcards, hoping that one day he would win enough and be free. He got 4 car tires worth 84,000 yen. But since he was stuck in a small room with no car, the tires were useless and only made him more frustrated. As Susunu, Denpa Shonen got more popular, the producers made the show bigger by changing it from weekly episodes to a non-stop 24/7 live stream. This meant that Nasubi's whole life, eating, sleeping, and writing postcards, was shown all day and night to millions of people online. Everything he did was on display, making the show feel like a real-life cartoon. A special team worked all the time to cover his private parts with a digital eggplant, which made the show both funny and strange. Nasubi didn't know this was happening. He thought the videos were only saved to be edited later. The live stream had fun pictures and silly sounds, making his hard life look like a joke. Around 17 million people watched Nasubi as he kept writing postcards, trying to win the things he needed to live. He believed he was all alone, but really, he was part of a huge show. Turning his private struggle into public entertainment showed that the producers cared more about keeping viewers interested than about Nasubi's privacy or health. This made it clear how unfair and harmful the challenge was for him. After 335 days, Nasubi finally reached his goal of winning 1 million yen. The moment came when he got a small bag of rice as a prize. This made him very tired but also hopeful that he would be free soon. He believed that since he had finished the main challenge, he would be allowed to leave the show. But the producers tricked him. They told him he was going on a trip to Korea as a prize to celebrate his success. Nasubi went to Seoul Land Amusement Park and ate Korean barbecue. For a short time, Nasubi enjoyed better food and a little bit of normal life. This was very different from the hard and lonely time he had before. However, this break did not last long. Soon, he was locked again in an empty apartment in Korea. Now, he had to try to win a first-class ticket back to Japan by entering Korean sweepstakes. The forms were all written in a language he did not understand, which made the task very difficult. Even though it was hard, Nasubi kept trying because he wanted to become famous. Without knowing, he was still being watched live by many viewers. He took off his clothes again and continued sending postcards. The small freedom he felt before made this new isolation even harder for him. The producers called this time in Korea a new adventure, but really, it was a way to keep him suffering, keep viewers interested, and make his story last longer. In Korea, Nasubi faced a challenge much like before. This time, he had only some magazines and a small gas burner. He had to enter many prize contests, but he couldn't read Korean at all. Because of this, filling out the forms was very hard. He had to guess and look for patterns to complete them. For 4 months, Nasubi was very hungry again and felt strong mental stress. He was alone in a strange country, which made things even harder. His body and mind were tested like never before. The prizes he won were usually small things like snacks or little items. These prizes did not help him much and reminded him of the hard times he had in Tokyo. Even though he was weak, Nasubi kept working carefully. He put strong effort into every entry. The show's producers made his confusion part of the show. They added funny drawings, like a digital eggplant, to make the program more entertaining for the viewers. Nasubi's time in Korea made his endurance even tougher. Every day was a battle against sadness and loneliness in a foreign place. After many months of hard work, he finally won a first-class plane ticket. He thought his long journey was over, but there was still one last surprise waiting for him. After winning a first-class plane ticket and returning to Japan, Nasubi felt happy and excited. He thought he was finally free and that a new life was about to begin. But instead of going home, he was quietly taken to another plain apartment just like the ones he had lived in before. Without being told what to do, he took off his clothes and started entering sweepstakes again. For months, he had been trained to follow orders. He did not know that he was still part of the show. The new apartment was not real. It was a fake set built inside a TV studio. The producers had no plans to set him free. They wanted to create a big surprise ending to get high TV ratings and shock the audience. While Nasubi kept trying to survive, writing postcards and entering sweepstakes, he didn't know that everything he did was still being shown to millions of people. Behind the scenes, the TV team was preparing a final scene, not to celebrate his effort, but to surprise and entertain viewers. In the end, the final moment was cruel. Without any warning, the walls of the apartment suddenly fell down in front of a live studio audience. Nasubi stood there, naked, holding a small cushion. People clapped, laughed, and cheered. He looked confused and quietly asked why people were laughing. He didn't know what was going on. Then the truth came out. His 15-month struggle had been shown live on TV under the title, A Life of Prizes. Over 17 million people had watched his most private and painful moments. What he thought was a quiet, personal challenge was actually a public show. Instead of being praised, Nasubi felt deeply hurt. He had been used for entertainment. His trust, privacy, and dignity were broken. The ending was not a happy one, but a sad, painful shock. During the whole time, the producers planned carefully to keep viewers interested. They made each part longer and more exciting. At first, small things like bringing rice were seen as wins. But then, the producers moved Nasubi to identical apartments, saying it was to change his luck when people started guessing where he was. When he was moved to Korea, the language was different, which made things harder and more interesting to watch. They gave him prizes like a tent or a bicycle, but these didn't help much, so he stayed stuck and frustrated. Later, the show changed to a 24/7 live stream with real-time editing and fun graphics, making Nasubi's life a non-stop show so viewers would stay more involved. All these tricks, like making it look like his apartment fell down, showed how much the producers wanted good ratings. This made the show famous but also very controversial because it crossed the limits of what is okay on reality TV. After the game ended suddenly, Nasubi had a hard time going back to normal life. The world outside his small room felt strange and confusing. Even simple things like talking to people felt new and difficult after being alone for many months. He still felt comfortable being naked because that's what he was used to during the game. When people found out about the live stream of his life, many argued about it. Some said the show was wrong because it used Nasubi without his full permission and treated him badly. This made people wonder if reality TV shows are fair and kind to the people on them. Many viewers liked Nasubi's strong spirit and funny moments, but others focused on the pain he went through. The show was cancelled in 2002, probably because the government was worried it was too cruel. This made people start looking more closely at how reality shows treat people. After that, new rules were made to stop shows that seemed like torture or were too harsh. Nasubi decided to use his experience to help others. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he spoke about the importance of mental health help. In 2016, he climbed Mount Everest to raise money for people who suffered from the Fukushima disaster. In 2023, a documentary called The Contestant showed his story. The film tells us how strong Nasubi was and warns about the dangers of reality TV. It shares his long road to feeling better and shows the deep effects his experience had on him. Nasubi's story shows how some companies only care about making money, not about people. The people in charge of the show used Nasubi because he was alone and vulnerable. They made him do fake challenges and even sent him to Korea, all to keep viewers interested. They treated him like a game piece, focusing only on how many people would watch, without asking if he was okay. They also shared his private struggles on TV, without caring about his feelings. This shows how far companies will go to earn money, even if it means hurting someone. Nasubi's experience is a strong warning about the dangers of entertainment that uses people's pain just for profit. It reminds us that respect for people should come before money, and that such shows can cause real harm. Thanks for watching this story about Nasubi's time on Susunu, Denpa Shonen. If you liked this story about his strength and the tough issues it raises, please like, share, and subscribe for more real stories. Tell us in the comments, do you think reality TV has changed because of Nasubi, or does it still cross the line? We'll share another true story soon. See you next time.